The Oregon Inlet is the most dangerous inlet on the East Coast. The dredging of the Oregon Inlet plays a crucial role in its safety. It's a constant battle between sentiment and government. Let's see what the people of Wanchese and the commercial fishing industry has to say about the Oregon Inlet.
There's no way I'm gonna go right now and go out that inlet before I drive over that bridge or talk to you or you who was just there.
Sometimes we have green water pouring right over the roof. You wonder if anything up here is even left.
I mean, the water goes from 40 foot to 7 foot, like in a hurry.
It's not that you're scared, but you respect it. And, you know, you want to come home to your family.
A lot of long highways in this world there wouldn't have got into it. So. But you didn't come to hear my life's history, you come to talk about the inlet, I suppose. But what it is today don't mean a thing for tomorrow, because it's constantly changing. The dynamics of that Oregon Inlet is, I don't think nobody understands. Everybody's got an idea, but you know, nobody knows for sure.
This is what they took samples of the sand out here for beach renourishing. You know what it is, and they sent it to Massachusetts to see what it was. These were 20-foot pieces, and they would put in 20 a day. You know, then they go just try to make sure they were getting the right sand for the right place. But you know, they're going offshore to get it. It needs to come in.
But there's sand in the inlet. Can't they just take that sand as a sample?
Exactly. That's what we want them to do, you know. But you know, and that should be what we put our feet on. Say, hey, this is where it came from. Let's take it back and put it back where it came from.
The sand is going to move south. Sand that's picked up from wave action as the ocean gets rough, it picks up sand. So the water is not just water, it's sand in the water. Once that sand is redirected with the flow of water, it comes down, it hits someplace like Oregon, it's already shoaling up already.
You got that current, you got the breakers, and now you got a sandbar.
Bar, it's treacherous. It's just, the bar itself is the last shoal that you get before you drop into the deep water.
I like to go across there when it's slick calm and you know, you don't have them nervous feelings, but it's not always like that. With the shoaling and all, by the time you get across the bar, your knees are shaking and your stomach's in knots, but it's just what we have to do.
What's the feeling you get when you go through the Oregon Inlet?
Your knees start knocking, you get pretty scared sometimes, but I know I got the best captain in the East Coast, you know, in charge of me, so.
And how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Now, are you the youngest commercial fisherman in Wanchese?
Like the second most, one of them.
Your heart starts to race, and you start to get a little jittery, and you feel weak at the knees. It's when you're entering the breakers.
I'm usually not that nervous of a guy.
In the nighttime, you got the big LED lights facing forward, and you see all this white lighting up in front of you, and you know you can't turn around. Once you commit, you can't turn around the breakers. It's like, we have to go through here now. That's the point where you just hope everything's on your side, because the next few minutes trying to get past the last breaker, you're working on a lot of skill, but there's always a certain amount of luck involved.
I have a bunch of respect for the Oregon Inlet. So we're coming under the bridge and our cameraman's back there and we're easing through the inlet. We make the turn at the bridge and all I see in the front is nothing but white. Well, we seen one hole where it wasn't breaking, so we decided we was going for it. And we went, we took off and we was going. Dude, it was like a 10-foot wave just stood up out of nowhere. So I had to like give it some gas and the whole motor's just come out the way. I got a picture of it somewhere.
It's a red flag on both sides of an inlet dating back to the late 1800s, has a life-saving station and a lighthouse. What happened?
I was towing on one of these straw boats trying to help him out, and
miscommunications, and we was in a bad spot and kind of boogered up a little deal, but the road come tight. At the same time, I hit a shoal and flipped me right over. It got to the point where I got an eviction notice on my house. I lost the boat.
Because of the Oregon Inlet?
Yeah, and the guy was doing the job for, he threw me under the bus and then sued me for $300,000.
So it just kept trickling down?
Yeah.
We have a boat behind us?
Yeah, he's following us in here because he hasn't been through here enough to know where the water is.
You're driving back off. Is that the worst spot through here?
Yes, sir. You go overnight, you get right here where I'm at. You can go right on around me and go.
I appreciate your help there, Ken.
Yes, sir.
So it changes, and the inconsistency makes it impossible.
Right. It's like I say, it's a local thing. You've got to know, you know.
So that's why they're following you.
That's right, yeah.
It's almost like a rite of passage.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how many times a year I just come down here and let boats follow me in, you know, to help them out. I got really boogered up when I lost that boat and everything, and I just don't want anybody else to ever have to go through that and get in that situation.
Your main worry, like a wave coming over and washing your windows out and filling your cabin and getting your electronics, getting shocked by the electricity, you know, that's your main concern, is washing your windows out going across the bar. Where this bow stem's pretty high, it kind of breaks the wave up unless one was to come right over. It's about the deepest draft that you want to have to go through the inlet consistently. That's one of our hang-ups. It draws about 6 foot of water, and there's numerous times that we bump bottom, you know, going through the inlet, especially inside the bridge. It's always shoaling up in there and the sand's moving, and they're having a hard time keeping it dredged out. So that's the main concern for us is, you know, bumping bottom. Coming in the inlet, if you get a big wave come over, it runs out those scuppers. You know, all the water exits out of there. If you had a bad situation happen and we're starting to take on water, it's got numerous isolated compartments, so you can't take on enough water in one compartment to sink this boat. You're not going to outrun a wave on this boat. You got to take them.
Oregon Inlet got its name from the first vessel to pass through the Oregon Inlet, the Oregon. Now remember, that was 13 years before Oregon was even a state. In 1846, a hurricane ripped through the barrier island, creating Pea Island and Body Island.
That's what's happened, you know, and we're trying to get something done. There was a fish house right there. There was a fish house right here. They're going.
We are right in here. Right here's where we are right now. Look at the boats here. That was taken probably in 1978 or 79. That was a beautiful day, and there was still that many boats. That was the original fish house. My grandfather built that in 1936. And in the 1970s, I put over 2 million pounds of pounders through that fish house. And I haven't packed 2 million pounds probably in the 21st century.
What's this over here?
That was my grandfather's fish house. That was probably taken around the early 1950s. They were paid for in this village of Wanchese. You ask, what did it do to this community? They were paid for in this village of Wanchese, and a tremendous amount of that money was spent on this island, Roanoke Island. All the car dealers, we had grocery stores in Wanchese at that time. We had 2 or 3, but we don't have any. I mean, our village is just virtually dead.
Is it slowly getting worse?
Well, the boat building industry is progressing pretty well here. This Wanchese has quit being famous for fish landings to building boats.
You know, this one boat, how many jobs does it create in our area? You know, we got 150 people. That's not counting the crews. You know, these owners are going to fly in on their planes. It just affects everyone from the airport to the lunch to renting multiple homes. If this boat costs $8 million, I guarantee we're putting $4 million of that in our local economy off one boat we're building. So you've got 11 of them going. It's a tremendous impact on our local economy that's basically driven by an inlet.
The county elected officials and the politicians of North
North Carolina should be really ashamed. Like the 3 worst inlets in the whole state.
I don't know so much as North Carolina. I think it's really the federal government. And what we have down there, we also have property that's owned by the Park Service. We also have privately owned property. There's a lot of players in this thing. And then, like I said before, we have the tree huggers and the turtle huggers and the bird huggers and all these other people. You think it's funny, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And they have lawyers and they have big money.
What would be a permanent solution?
I think if they jetted that inlet and when the jet is far enough offshore, it would solve the whole problem. My name is Wayne Gray. I was a Master Chief Petty Officer in the Coast Guard. I was in 33 years.
And where were you stationed?
I was on ships 22 years. I was in Vietnam for a long tour. I was at Oregon Inlet for 7 years in that 33, and that was a very rewarding 7 years.
In those 7 years, how many lives do you recall that were lost due to the Oregon Inlet's conditions?
People have forgotten how many lives were lost. I can tell you a lot of lives that were lost that people don't even remember. In March of 1962, the March storm, there was a trawler that came to the inlet named the Marguerite, and he called us and wanted to know if he could come in the inlet. Well, the inlet was terrible. It was the beginning of that storm. And the guy on duty told him no, it wasn't safe to come in. And that's the last I ever heard from her. She had 5 people on it. Nobody ever remembers that boat.
Cape Hatteras has some of the most dangerous sea on the East Coast, so it only makes sense it has the most dangerous inlet on the East Coast. But the 72-year battle should not be forgotten, nor should the Watermen of Wanchese, for they are the unsung heroes of the Outer Banks. Yeah. So we just bump bottom?
Bump bottom.
I can't take that boat through that again. First of all, it's worse now than it was then.
You ain't got that camera going, have you?
Yeah.
You don't have to stop.